गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। टुडे वी आर गोना टॉक अबाउट इंडियाज जियोपॉलिटिकल मंडला and that's a very important topic. But before I start that, I wish all of you a very happy Independence Day. It's our 78th Independence Day and very significant. That is why I chose this topic on this day. We should see where we stand in the international arena. And we then have to understand where we are going ahead. Right? With this in view, let me get started. But before that, also, my heartfelt condolences to that valiant officer who's lost his life in JNK. Pakistan has reared its head up again. I think it's time to do something. We could talk of it. If you have the questions, I'll answer. Right? I have some views about it, but this is only initial views. I'll get someone next week and we'll discuss it in detail because there's no point in talking about it as a you know knee-jerk reaction. But let's talk about India's geopolitical mandala. Where do we stand today? And I'll go back to this cartoon always. Remember, whatever others say or don't say, we are now in the big league, right? And we are now in the big league. And once you get onto the big league, there's no stepping back. Okay, and then is the power quadrilateral. There's no doubt in my mind that we are one end of this power quadrilateral globally, right? And in this, I have explained this many times in many podcasts. At this point of time, our relationship with USA which should have been quite attractive, is not as attractive as it was. The relationship between China and Russia is much more attractive. The relationship between us and India is more attractive. And the relationship between us and China is going through ambivalence. And that is what is training this quadrilateral. Okay. But overall, the prospects remain the same. There's no change. Right. The China India equation is not going to improve. Right. India will be a global strategic partner of both Russia and USA. It's up to us how to convince them that we are for both. And then neither USA nor Russia can ignore us. Both of them independently alone can't balance China. And China is a heavyweight, we have to understand that. And it's also a moot point. Can China take on the Russia US, sorry, can US take on the Russia China partnership without another major power? Questionable. So, why I'm bringing this up again and again is that because of Bangladesh, what's happened in Bangladesh, right, there will be questions in our mind. Is USA a reliable partner? Of course, it is not. Right? It is a partner at this point of time which we have to use. They are also going to use us. So we are in a big game. In big game, there are no permanent friends. There are only permanent interests. Remember that. Okay. Now let's also understand there is a centrality of India in global affairs. Have a look at this chart. And mind you, I made this graphic 3 years back, just as COVID was waning off. And I've had no reason to change. I thought I'll take this presentation out and do some changes and all that, but none, hardly any one odd word here or anything, nothing changes. And that is probably the most important message which all of you have to take. Nothing changes in a hurry in international relations. Certain things happen and events happen which are incongruent. They are like passing weather. They go. The permanent issues stay. So, what do you see in this? You see that India remains the fastest growing economy, and it is the only alternative to China in scale. on a long-term basis. Today, it might not be so. Even then, 3 years back, I said so. I still maintain it. It'll be a long time. But you're the only alternative to China for the world. The world has to change, and so should we. Right? Okay. The West, USA, Australia, Germany, UK, and EU have generally consolidated as a result of the Russia-Ukraine war. Right? But then they seek us. So does Russia. So does China. China has made an outreach just now after the budget. The Middle East, we've developed the IMEC with them. All our neighbors depend on us, though the equations at this point of time are not very good. We'll talk of it. Japan remains our friend. Israel still depends on us for many things. It might not be for war fighting straight, but diplomatically it still depends on us. Right? And what is interesting in this? I mean, this is something which I realized a couple of weeks back. What is interesting in this is most of these fellows are fighting amongst each other. Every one of them is involved in a fight with the other. But India is not. That is the interesting part of the story. India is not in a fight with anyone. That gives us the centrality, it gives us the stability. And that's something all of us as Indians should be aware of. We've gone through a very successful election. I'm not interested in the outcomes of the election. Which party won, which party didn't win. I've been telling you this. I'm not political. But what I'm interested in is after the elections, we got a stable government with a strong leader. You might agree with the leader, I might not agree with the leader, that's all different. Or you might not agree with the leader, I might agree with the leader. No. But we have a leader who's strong, who gives continuity. And even today in his Independence Day speech, our Prime Minister has given out a strong message, both for internal and external audience, which is good, for India. Right? Believe you me, someone who's weathered India from 1956 and who stood at the borders of all borders of India, right, from 1977, I can assure you this. So there is centrality. There's no choice for people but to come here. There's also no choice for India to become the number 3 economy in the world. It's a matter of time. वो बोलते हैं ना हिंदी में, वक्त से पहले कुछ होता नहीं है, जब वक्त आता है कि उसको रोक नहीं सकते आप. That is where India is. For those of you who think that the politics are weak or opposition is useless, corrupt everything, don't worry. ये सब हो जाएगा. ये कहानी मैं पिछले 40 साल से सुनता आ रहा हूँ. Don't worry. Okay. Now let's get to the thing. India remains at the center of major populations. And most of these populations, barring the Chinese, trust India. And that is something which we need to understand. They trust India for whatever we do or not do. The same can't be said with others. We are also at the center of conflict zones. Luckily, though I put South Asia as part of a conflict zone, that conflict is now receded. It's there, it's dormant. But the active conflicts are in East Europe, Ukraine, Middle East, and West Asia, about which probably tomorrow we'll talk of with Sriya Ayerji on our common broadcast. Africa, and of course, Pacific, where action is going on every day. Now, India is central to these conflicts. But India is not at this point in active conflict. That is the important thing you have to understand. And we are also central to all big defense spenders. And all these fellows are net defense importers, which I've put around us, except USA, Russia, and China. And this is an opportunity which is awaiting us. Even we are net defense importers. Even today, the Prime Minister spoke about this, how to go Atmanirbhar about this and become a net defense exporter. The day we become net defense exporters, our military diplomacy will kick in because dependency will build in. And many other things will start happening. How can we do that? Is the challenge in front of us. It's a major challenge for us. Right. The next issue, all disasters. And this is something which I've always been maintaining. Most of the major disasters which have happened in the world, all these disasters are mapped for the past 20 years, have happened around us. And in all these disasters, we have helped. We even helped China when the pandemic broke out. We helped Turkey when the earthquake took place. We helped Pakistan when the earthquakes took place. We helped the Southeast Asian nations when the tsunami struck. Probably others didn't help us the way we helped them. But that is what has made us look great. Right? So, this is something which many people don't understand. The strength of India comes from the fact that we are able to provide succor to people in their times of disaster. Very strong capability we have in this. And then there's a new thing which has come up in the past 3 years. The nuclear dimension has changed in our neighborhood. Right? And we'll be talking of it maybe later if I get someone to talk, but the outlines of this. Earlier, people used to talk of the nuclear triangle of China, Pakistan, and India to the north, north, or generally in this area. But today, we have to think of a pentagon with Iran and Israel also in the fold. They also become what should I say? They're basement nuclear powers today. We all know that they have the capability, probably one screwdriver turn away, but they have the capability. So this nuclear triangle is going to become a nuclear pentagon, and it's a flashpoint. But equally, in the Far East Asia, there is another nuclear hexagon coming up. China, Russia, North Korea, and USA are already established nuclear powers in that area. South Korea and Japan are the impending nuclear powers. There's already a discussion in both these countries as to should they nuclearize or not. And the day they nuclearize, a lot of things will change. So, in our geopolitical mandala, this factor will loom large. So far, whatever I have said, whether it's the conflict situation, whether it's the disaster situation, or the major populations, or the centrality of India in trade, is all the precursor to what the mandala consists. So now let's hit the mandala and understand what this mandala is all about. The mandala is driven by our national interests. That's the first thing we have to understand. What is our national interest? And these national interests are enshrined in our constitution. People say, look, where are the national interests? People say we don't have a national security doctrine. I agree. But our constitution tells us this. It tells us that the first national interest is protection of land borders, coastline, island territories, and sea lanes from external aggression. In this case, the external aggression continentally is from Pakistan and China, and of late, it's coming from the sea from China also. And it also tells us in some form that Our national interests come from the Gulf of Eden to the Strait of Malacca. And this was explained by Prime Minister Manmohan Singh long back. This is the first uh, bullet, if I say, of national interest. The second bullet of national interest is that point 0.5 internal front. Internally, we should be able to protect our people and our constitution against terrorism, insurgency, and militancy, whether it's in J&K, whether it's in the Northeast, or against left wing extremism. At this point of time, something might be more and something might be less. But these are the three threats which will always be there in some form or the other. Till India reaches a transformative stage where stability is reached and these populations are happy with the idea of India. Before I proceed ahead, you might be finding some disturbance coming on my video. That's because there's a metro work going on next to my house, and so certain amount of sounds do come from there, especially when the dredgers start working. So I really can't help it. Okay. And then the third part of our national interest is protection of our people in out of area contingencies and natural disasters. What are these out of area contingencies? When you evacuate people from Wuhan because of the pandemic, you evacuated people from Ukraine, you evacuated people from West Asia, you evacuated people from Yemen. All this is protection of people in out of area contingencies and natural disasters whenever they happen in those areas. So these three national interests of ours drive the geopolitical mandala. This is the core issue. We have to ensure at the center that this is always achieved. And then we start looking outside at our mandala. What is this mandala all about? Here it is. Right? If you look at it, at the core, we have internal issues. And then you have the next immediate neighbors on which I'll talk about. Then you have the near neighborhood. Then you have the intermediate neighborhood. And then you have the strategic relationships at the outer circle. The thing about this entire mandala is that one plays against the other. It sometimes the immediate neighborhood and the near neighborhood are in consonance with each other. At times they are against each other. At times we have to use the intermediate neighborhood to help in our immediate neighborhood or tackle issues in our immediate neighborhood and vice versa. So each of this neighborhood is consequential to India's growth and progress. So we'll go by each neighborhood. The immediate neighborhood is hostile. It consists of Pakistan, China, and the Indian Ocean region. This has not changed, and this will not change in our mandala. It is always going to be adversarial, it will be direct, and it will be deteriorating. There is no way. I've been dealing now with this in this form for the past 4-5 years, and it's only deteriorated day by day. But if I look back over my entire career, it has gone from bad to worse for many reasons. We are in a competitive mode with China and Pakistan, we threaten hugely. This neighborhood will always be constantly challenging and it will threaten our sovereignty, integrity, and the territorial integrity of the nation. There will always be a collusive threat. And this collusive threat is not necessarily land, it is land and in the Indonesian region. There is an intense nuclear environment here in our immediate neighborhood. We should be ready for long term proxy and gray zone contestation. This happens almost every day. And let me assure you, this remains our most consequential neighborhood and most consequential to our national interests. And it is presents to us the most complex environment. But very interestingly, at this point of time, while this is supposed to be the prime driver of our security, this is not so at this point of time. There is some stability with China and Pakistan in terms of our security. It's not unstable. It is not unpredictable. It is something which we know, which we can handle. This is what today troubles us, right? And we need to understand this. And the near neighborhood is completely unstable, whether it's Afghanistan, Nepal, Bhutan, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, or Maldives. Yesterday, with Brigadier Sehgal, we discussed this in detail. This is in constant turmoil, constant economic turmoil. They're all weak states with weak political setups. They are in an episodic relationship with us and China. And they're constantly hedging against each other. But the problem with all this is all these become platforms for either Pakistan or China to interfere with us. They're constantly posing an indirect and a dangerous threat. There's always a problem of ethnic overflow and migration from these areas. Most importantly, Bangladesh, Myanmar, and Nepal. To some extent, even Sri Lanka. Today, the biggest challenge for us is to keep them in our sphere. Yesterday, we discussed how Bangladesh is the latest, problem in this area. And I must tell you this very simply. Over the past 1 year, you saw Maldives turn. Sri Lanka has become ambivalent. Myanmar, it's not hostile to us, but it is hostile to itself. Completely unstable. Nepal, every 6 months, 1 year, the prime ministers change there and things go wrong. And Bangladesh, of course, 15 days back, everything went for a toss. Not even 15, 10 days back, 5th June, 5th August. Right? Afghanistan has been in turmoil for a long time. And this is the most consequential at this point of time. And uh, people say, look, this is a bad situation. I agree. But let me give you another situation. I take my mind back to the 80s. In the 80s, what is the situation in these states? Afghanistan in the 80s was under Mujahideen. There was a war going on between Russia, Afghanistan, Pakistan, and USA. It was a gray zone war, if you put it in today's word. It was an indirect war, it was on. Afghanistan was occupied by Russia, and that's when this fellow Osama bin Laden was born also. That was a time in the 80s when the Kashmir insurgency took off. All these, many of you don't know, but you go back to 80s, that's when foreign terrorists and mercenaries used to come from Afghanistan and create havoc in Kashmir. Sri Lanka was in the grip of an internal civil war in which we were also involved. The IPK was deployed in Sri Lanka. And every day we went to help one lot and it ended up being, we went to help the country, both sides, and we ended up being enemies to both. Look at Bangladesh of that time. Ziaur Rahman was the dictator, and he was completely hostile to India. Nepal had just started becoming hostile around that time. It was only Bhutan. Myanmar, we had no diplomatic relations with them, with the military junta there. I remember at that point of time was a time when we had this Operation Checkerboard against China, and we were doing brass tacks against Pakistan. In those days, 80s, early 80s, mid 80s, if you went to a cantonment, you won't find anyone because the complete Indian army was deployed on our borders, north, south, east, and west. We were operationally deployed and committed. At that time, India was not a strong country like it was today. We didn't have much. We didn't have much. There were a lot of problems internally. And that was also the time when the Khalistani movement took off, the Kashmiri movement took off. Complete Northeast was unstable. Ulfa. Those of you who have not lived through that time will not understand what I'm talking. We came through that. We came through that with a lot of fortitude. And we've done well. Punjab is peaceful. Northeast is peaceful. This Naxalism has almost vanished. Fastest growth rates. There are some problems. Oh, take care. India is very strong. That's what I'm trying to say on Independence Day. I don't know if you people know. I would like you to ask me questions on what I've said now. If I see the difference between India today and India of the 80s, I see a very strong and confident India who's able to manage all these. If you could manage all that then in the 80s, we'll do it now. Don't worry. So that is something which I thought I must tell all of you. If we want to emerge as a net security provider or as a global power, our outcomes will depend on these extended geographies, which are just around us: Pakistan, China, Afghanistan, Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Maldives. If we can handle these well, we'll be a power. Then you handled Asia. If you can handle Asia, बाकी अपने आप हो जाएगा. IOR will come under your gambit. It's not a problem. So, this is something we have to understand. Does a government understand this? From what the Prime Minister spoke today, I think so. Is he doing everything right? No. Is he doing everything wrong? No. There's certain things happening which are bound to happen. Let's accept it. When this is not the time to. In fact, never should we start blaming each other as a nation, as a people. We might have political differences, we might have ideological differences, we might have religious differences, we might have ethnic differences, but we all have allegiance to one thing called India, Bharat Mata, and that flag. That is indivisible. That is not negotiable. And that is what should be the spirit. And that is the spirit of my channel. Please understand this. Now let's look at the intermediate neighborhood. The intermediate neighborhood is a little away. The intermediate neighborhood has opportunities. And which are the countries in the intermediate neighborhood? They are Central Asia, Middle East, Africa, South Korea, Japan, ASEAN nations, and Australia. These go, many of these countries have their own turmoil and conflict. At times they are competitive, at times they are cooperative. It could be issue based. Things change. 3 years back, Australia was not very cooperative with India, but today it is. Right? We have energy and trade links with these countries here. And we also have historical linkages, uh, especially with countries of ASEAN, Middle East, and Africa. And you'll find that most of these places have remained largely stable. Of course, the instability comes in the Middle East and somewhere in South Pacific, which I think will stay for a long time to come. And India has to contend with this. It's part of the thing where major conflicts are around us. And whether we like it or not, we have a role to play. It might be not be overt, but it will be there. And all these countries need a hedge against China, Russia, and USA. And most of these countries are today looking at India. They see that I showed you that centrality of India. They look at India for many things, right? And this will not go away. Uh, I go back to the 80s. Even then, at that point of time, there was a thing that look, yes, we will look towards India, but it was not overt. We were not as strong as now. Today we are very strong. People look at us. Then look, I can tell you with a lot of confidence that after all, I'm in one of the best institutions in the country. In fact, the best institution as per latest ranking. The kind of collaborations we're doing with abroad, the kind of internal expansion which is happening is phenomenal. It has changed in the past 2 to 3 years. When that happens in our prime educational institutes, you will see excellence going on. Today, our problem is to get good faculty. And that is why people, these institutes like IITs and all, employ people like me with experience to push things forward and contribute to the national cause. And we are doing it. Believe you me, we are doing it. Right. Then we have this strategic relationship that goes back to that quadrangle which I showed earlier, that quadrilateral, that global quadrilateral. Right? Which are the countries which are in strategic relationship with us? Israel, France, EU, Russia, USA, and the Quad. I put it as a Quad because Quad is strategic in nature. With these countries, India is in a mode of interdependency. You have political and historic relations with these. Many times we are cooperative, but there are times when we are competitive with them. Right? And here is where global dynamics come, and we have to contend with changing power equations. In the recent past, two events are overshadowing this strategic relationship. One is the Ukraine war, where people have said India should take a side, and then the Russia-China relationship, where India is playing a tightrope walk. And we need these countries for our own growth. And these countries need India for the global growth and their own growth. So we should never forget this construct which I have now put across to you. There are internal issues. There are plenty of internal issues which we have to go through. We we will remain the fastest growing economy, but equally we will be energy deficient unless we have an energy security policy in place, a robust policy where we go in for green hydrogen, where we exploit our thorium reserves, where we use natural energy, solar energy, wind. Are we doing? We are doing. Are we doing enough? Not yet. Is there an honesty about what we are doing? We are doing. Even this found mentioned today in our Prime Minister's address. Climate change, it's going to hit us. Look at what happened in Wayanad recently. Look at what happened last year in Chennai. Look at what happened in Uttarakhand. Sikkim, last year, glacial outburst. Climate change is going to hit us and it's going to cause damage. There are two ways of tackling it. Either you prepare, forearm yourself, forewarn yourself, and tackle that, or you suffer the damage. I think India as a whole has opted to the first one of getting forearmed, getting prepared, which we are doing, right? That's why I got General Hasnain to speak about national disaster and all that. And a lot of people are doing a lot of things there. So we'll do more. Then we are disaster prone. Whether you like it or not, we need to. Climate change and disaster is something we have to constantly be on our toes. We have to overcome our strategic dependencies. How long should we depend on Russia? How long should we depend on USA? How long should we depend on Korea and Japan? And this is a systemic weakness which we have not been able to get over. Then we need to get our partisan politics. इसको जेल डाल दो, उसको ये कर दो, उसके against ये बोलो. This politics. Our politicians, many times I feel proud of them, but many more times I feel ashamed of them. Everyone. Look at the results in the Olympics. Politics. Whenever the political system has not functioned well, we have functioned poorly in politics, in sport. There was a time when, despite the best talent, our cricket never used to function well. Our cricket teams. It was by fluke. But when politics went out, professionalism set in and BCCI, money came in, and now we're the world champions. Right? In cricket. The same example, you look at China. Professionalism. If you can get professionalism into our systems, then things will turn around. That is something which is very important. And that will come only if partisan politics are out of the equation. The next problem I have is we don't have a strategic culture in our politicians. Our political setup doesn't have the strategic culture. And in this, I don't leave anyone out. This lack of culture has made us adopt certain ostrich-like attitudes and policies. Look at the incongruences. It's good that our foreign ministry has been given a bump up in the budget. It's doing a lot of things outside. But it can't do anything without the army, navy, and the air force. What about their budgets? What about their military diplomacy? Is the standard diplomacy not to serve along with the military diplomacy? If it is, so as it is today happening, it is due to partisan politics. It is this partisan politics between one party and the other, and the partisan politics of not knowing, lack of strategic culture, not knowing how to use your instruments of the state. Are we optimally utilizing the instruments of the state? If the armed forces are no more to just guard the territorial integrity of this nation, or armed forces are the main vehicle to make us a global power. Is that thinking there? It's not there. Let me be upfront. I found this lacking today in our Prime Minister's speech. Right? Yeah. But on the positive side, the situation is improving in J&K. We've had some issues, including yesterday's encounter where we lost an officer, unfortunate incident. But even in that, I'll get a full analysis. My own thing is we've had two, three encounters there, and those encounters are due to the fact that we have got after them. If you get after them, there will be encounters, and if you have encounters, we should be prepared for losses. How, no matter how bad it is, right? But Manipur in turmoil, and that turmoil you link with Bangladesh and Myanmar, and it's turning septic. It's a septic wound. We still have ethnic and religious fractures. You still don't have a defense industrial base, and you still don't have adequate budgets and capacities. We have not built them. 11 years this government has been in power. If I can criticize them for one thing, it is this. Because they have not used the multiplier effect of building a good defense industrial base which will kickstart the economy and also project your nation and protect your borders. Have they tried? They have. Have they failed? Yes. Why? Lack of strategic culture. It all comes back to that. It's not enough just that one or two people at the top have the strategic culture. It is people at the lower rungs of our government who need to think strategically. It is our business which needs to think strategically. When we have that as a nation, things will change. I am glad that more people have come, and I'm going to ask some tough questions, and I'll take them. It improves the strategic culture of the nation. I might be wrong. I might not agree with you. You might not agree with me. But our talk will improve our strategic culture. That is more important to me than anything else. Okay. A major improvement where we have gone forward is, say, 4 5 years back, there was this whether should we be continentally oriented or maritime oriented. But that, like, is we are past that. Today we talk of continental plus maritime, and the three fronts as they are evolving is like this Western front, including North Arabian Sea. You have a maritime front and a northern front of China, which is good, which is the way things are moving forward. We no more don't talk of the Navy versus the Army, which is more important. No. Right. With this as a background, the question, and this question I've been grappling for a long time. Are the Indian armed forces modern enough to defend India? The answer is yes. We have space, we have nuclear technology, you have a successful missile program, you have shipbuilding capability, you have gun technology, you have aircraft technology and communications. And just to give you an idea, right? So we can, and we've proven it from 47 to now. Barring 62, we've won all our wars. The next question, are the Indian armed forces modern enough for a regional power, which is destined to be the third largest economy shortly? Not yet. Unless we fill in the major capacity gaps and attune yourself to the oncoming storm of disruption in military affairs. It's happening. And here we have an opportunity, window of opportunity. China is declining. Its demography is declining. Its economy is sluggish. And it has internal tensions, which we keep talking of regularly. Look at Pakistan. It is economically defunct and it cannot revive. These two, which are our immediate adversaries and impinge on our national security most, are giving us a window of opportunity. We should take it by the horns. And this window of opportunity, to my way of thinking, is there for the next 4 to 5 years. After that, it might not be there for different reasons. Things will change. I said this in 2020 that the window of opportunity immediately will open up. I said this when I used to go and on deaf talks with Adi. I've said this when I went in Jaipur dialogues. I keep saying this then, 2020, in P Guru's channels. I'm saying it now after 4 years still. I am proven right, and we still have another. The problem will come around 26, 27, 28. There are certain things which I have not exactly put my finger on. Where? So I won't talk of it now. I'll talk of it maybe next year when I am very clear and I can see over the horizon. The horizon which I see where India has got a safe passage is still 25, not 25, 26, 27. Yeah, something odd might happen that I cannot guarantee. But generally, till about 27, I think we are through. You might think I'm sounding like an astrologer, but I'm not doing astrology here. I'm doing prospective thinking. Right? Okay. So this is all I had to say. Jai Hind. I hope you like this video. If you do like this video, press the like button. And for those of you who are coming on to Gunner Shot for the first time, please share this video with your friends. Subscribe to Gunner Shot. And I request many of more to become members of Gunner Shot. In fact, I'm seriously thinking of at least allowing the members to be part of this show in open houses. If you like this idea, proposal, right? What I would request is I'll start uh, poll in the community thing that would you like to be part of the show during open house, and I'll give you the link. Come and join and give you a view for about 4 5 minutes on the topic of the day. We'll choose a topic of the day where all of you can come and give your view, and I'll give this topic well ahead so that I'll give you 5 minutes talking time, members only at this point, and then we'll see where it goes. If you're interested, let me know. Uh, Respond to me either in comments or respond to me in the community thing when I put out the poll. When I put out the thing, uh, and then we'll see where to take it forward. I would like more of you to come and be participative and be part of us. That's why I said more memberships, better it is. Right. Having said that, I'd like to thank Tamil Hindu for your super. So nice of you, and a lot of questions, but we'll take it. Don't worry. I have a lot of time today. I promised that I will take all your questions as today's Independence Day. So we'll go. Yeah. Yeah, I see Vamred coming back after a long time. How have you been first? You've been absent from live dialogue for a long time. Yeah, what is your view on different political parties and their governance impact on the armed forces, like the late 1980 and 1990 with multiple governments, their impact on armed forces? A very good question which you asked. There are two strains to this whole equation. All the political parties, despite the turmoil in the government, have always supported the defense forces, right? On that, we should have no doubts. But what happened in that time was the strategic direction and the political direction to the armed forces was lacking. Okay. So when that was lacking, the armed forces themselves did not know what to do. As a result, there was a problem. Then, of course, in the 90s, India took a conscious decision not to spend on the armed forces for various reasons, right? And that was a time when reforms were being put in place and our money was, we were on the verge of getting hit badly. So we didn't get adequate budgets, everything went down. So at that time also, we took a backseat. And that was a time when probably our strategic outlook was a little timid also. And the armed forces accordingly became timid and we were not prepared. We paid for it. Let me tell you, we paid. As a nation, we paid for that. Economic reform was there, but as many, cases like the parliament attack, things like that shouldn't have happened. They wouldn't have happened if you were strong. We were not. Well, even now, they shouldn't happen. Balakot and all, not Balakot, Uri and Pulwama shouldn't have happened. But these happened because they were emboldened by that time. So you see a curve. We had like 63, 64, 65. That's a very important period, you must understand. 62, we were a defeated army. We had nothing. By 65, in just 3 years, if you see the defense budget those days, Lal Bahadur Shastri ji spent as much as 3 to 3.5% on our defense budget and rebuilt the army. In 3 years, we were rebuilt to take on Pakistan and defeat it. And we were a poor nation then. But when we became a rich nation, we've lagged. Even now, we've lagged. That's why I said, are we spending enough for a great power to build our capacities? Answer is no. Today, due to many issues, I'll even say that, look, our defense budgets have gone back to the times of Nehru, less than 2% of our GDP. Especially when there's an increase of 14% in Pak GDP and 7.6% in China's GDP. Defense spending in GDP terms. Right? So, overall, different governments have had different approaches and it has impacted our abilities and capacities. Even now, I feel that we are suboptimal. You want to be a power? Very clear. You need to have them. Like I said, India can defend its borders. The armed forces can defend its borders or borders. But can the armed forces be part of this journey to make India a great power? Difficult. With the current spending. I'm being upfront about it. If you see, have a look at my dissection of our defense budget. I did the show. Probably I was the only guy who said the defense budget is inadequate, and I proved it. So there are problems in this. I hope I answered the question the way you wanted. Okay. And then, of course, my good old friend Akash, thanks a lot for all your contributions. Some girl is going to really bless you for all your contribution because it will help her education. Okay. Given the events in Bangladesh, any government talk of increasing the defense budget, or is it too late for that? There's no talk. It's not too late. Budgets can be increased any point of time for that, right? It's possible that in case of look, in as far as events in Bangladesh is concerned, really speaking, I don't see a requirement for an increase in defense budget. Not much. Within the existing, you can handle. After all, what do you have to do? Prevent those chaps from coming out. There's no threat from Bangladesh except the threat of migration. Yeah, but the rest of the things are different, which we need to handle. And I think it's good, given what's happened in Bangladesh, if you have a midterm review and defense budget is opened up or given a bump. Yeah, your views on General Faiz Hamid's arrest or court martial. It's political. It's very simple. He's aligned with Imran Khan. Uh, the present chief feels threatened by both these chaps, so he's been put in the can. That's all. As simple as that. There's no other equation in this. Okay, he'll be in the can till Imran Khan comes out, and if Imran Khan becomes the prime minister tomorrow, he'll also come out and become the chief, or he'll become the defense minister or something like that. So it's a political game. It's nothing very different. Okay. As far as relationships are concerned, we have a strategic relationship with Russia and Israel. The other relationships are tactical and transactional in nature. Look, Akash, they are not tactical, they are strategic. The relationship is strategic and transactional. Whether it's Australia, whether it's USA, they are all transactional. But the relationship with Japan is strategic. It has not changed, right? But as we go forward, there will be other strategic relationships which are coming. See a strategic relationship coming with the Middle East, especially with Saudi Arabia and UAE. It will change. So many of these are in the flux, right? I'll leave it at that. The immediate neighborhood was part of Akhand Bharat. Thus, the relationship is one of Bharat being the elder, irrespective whether the neighbor likes it. Yeah, that I agree. We discussed this yesterday also, and that's why I told that Bangladeshi very clearly. Look, you want us to behave, you behave. If you don't behave, we'll not behave. As simple as that. Okay. As far as the diagrammatic quadrilateral is concerned, the focal point of confluence is Bharat. The sooner the world realizes it, the better for all parties concerned. I agree with you completely. That's why I put it out. And I am the only guy in India, please understand, who has given this. And I don't know whether any other channel has even shown this as their thing. I put it out and I'll keep putting it out. I'm very clear about it. Yeah, Jai Hind to you, Tamil Hindu, Retrowave Universe, Happy Independence Day, Sandeepan, Jai Hind. Right. Okay. Jain, Namaskaram and Happy Independence Day. Okay. Sir, US State Department has always had it in for us. Why? What have we done that's so bad that they supported and aided a military dictatorship against us right from the beginning? See, if you have to go back to the construct of Pakistan, you have to understand this. Why was Pakistan made? Pakistan was made to be a wedge between Russia and India joining hands with each other and also protect the oil interests. They wanted a Muslim country which was leaning towards the West. They had to support it. And later, Pakistan became the frontline state against uh, Russia in Afghanistan. They had to support it. Today, Pakistan will again become a frontline state for West Asia because it is now a frontline state against Iran. It is also a frontline state against Taliban to control Taliban. It is also a frontline state to control China. So we have to realize the importance of Pakistan geographically, and that's how it was carved out. East Pakistan was a product of events, but West Pakistan was planned that way. And it kept that state also unstable with fuzzy borders. A weak state with fuzzy borders is now always dependent on the West. See the construct which was done last century. They knew that India will coalesce. They were not happy. They were being thrown out. right? So that is why whether you are a democracy or not is not the issue. The issue is that your ideals and your basic ideology differs from the Western ideology at the core level. Okay, that's how it is. As simple as that. Whether it's a State Department or any department is a thing. And of course, you must also understand that at a practical level, Pakistan has infiltrated the State Department quite a bit. It has infiltrated the Defense Department also quite a bit. Their Pakistani lobbies are still strong, and we were completely against them. Okay, look at the time of the non-aligned meet. One of the things which I didn't tell you was all this instability in our near, you know, today which we saw when I said all of us were out and all. We were also non-aligned against the West. Even that pressure was there those days. Okay, 82, I still remember I attended the non-aligned meet where I saw Fidel Castro hugging Indira Gandhi ji in front of Vigyan Bhavan. 82. I was a young captain then. And that was the time when the Khalistan problem was just starting. J&K problem was still over the horizon. Northeast wasn't a problem. The Sri Lanka problem was just on the boil. And then we went into a tailspin by the end of the decade. We were not, and we were also not happy with Americans those days. Let me tell you this. Yeah, Jai Hind, Vishnathan, Jai Hind, Aditya. Uh, yeah, for every innocent civilian or loyal soldier who is killed by jihadis, bat, I'm not saying proportionate casualties on the other side. Are we weak or stupid? Sometimes pieces. No, I don't think you have to look at it this way. It is not a count to count. Firstly, all these are happening in the hinterland. That's the first thing. It's not that they've killed one, we should kill one. This is not a bad action. This is those guys who are. I will discuss this next week. Let me analyze it. Right? It's happened in the Pir Panjal area where we have upped our operations. So operations, you will get casualties. It's just unfortunate that we've had so many in the past 2 3 days, and we lost an officer again. So that's what it is. But it is not always that 100 people have to die there. There are different methods. So be patient. Yeah, let me see your comment. India needs to be present in both places like them. Okay. Yeah. Notice, yeah, I'll see your thing. Notice how China is present in both places. India needs to be present in both places like them. Also, South Korea and Japan won't need nukes. Already, USA has nukes. No, they have. There's a debate within South Korea and Japan that they should have their own nukes. That's the reason. Both these countries are. Yeah, that's fine. We all know that. Yeah. Uh, as an aspiring officer, with due respect, the strategic patience you talk about is well and good. Until the guys dumping or your family members, I would like to see this patience at that time. I think you're being foolish if you talk like this. Okay. You're talking to a chap who's commanded troops in CI operations. We know what it is, what it takes. Okay. I wouldn't like you to think that we don't understand the pain of losing people. You know, unlike you, I don't, from very clearly, you have no experience of CI ops. If anyone has a casualty in CI ops, the commanding officer doesn't sleep. The commander of that formation doesn't sleep the whole night. It haunts them. I've gone through this trauma. It's only now that I'm a experienced veteran and I can see things from far that I can talk like this. So I would suggest to you uh, rethink the way you talk. It's easy to talk. Very difficult to do. India has acknowledged losing territory. The LSE doesn't mean the world didn't know, and yeah, that's okay. That's fine. If China were to take it upon itself to vacate illegally occupied areas along the border and behave itself and vacate Tibet is due course of time, then I don't think this is feasible, Akash. That's completely hypothetical. First, let them go back. What it's about the Indian Army that, unlike Pak or Bangladesh Army, we find blindly follow civilian government's orders. What difference about our DNA? Does it have to be do with their religious? Yeah, religion plays a huge hand in this. We are not that thing. That's one major issue. Second, we have our outlook is broader, secular, right? Uh, and so there's no doubt about it. So we do things the right way, and we do things equitably. You see, you must understand that Pakistan and Pakistan. I'll do a program next week sometime. I am going to talk to the Naval Higher Command course and the Naval War College on Pakistan. I'm doing it on 21st. So I'm preparing what Pakistan is all about and how you'll understand what Pakistan Army is. I'll do that program here also once I prepare it. I'm right now doing research, putting all my slides together and all. So NRK, just wait. I would like you to ask this question back that day. Maybe sometime towards the end of this month. 21st अगर हो गया, 22nd, 23rd, 24th sometime I'll talk about it. I'm a bit worried about certain Congress and J&K politicians repeatedly saying Bangladesh situation can happen in India. Shaheen Bagh and Red Fort incidents are stark reminders of their capabilities. I don't think so. You should worry about it. These are fellows who talk because they're politicians. They want votes. They have to be seen to be talking tough. In fact, today only in Beyond News, if you go something about Mr. Farooq Abdullah, I have given my comment. He has to talk like this before he becomes irrelevant and he doesn't get seats. After all, uh, elections are coming now next month, so it's pure political talk. Don't worry. Is it time to secure Siliguri corridor by widening it by taking back the northern districts of Bangladesh? The answer is no. Look, you can't shift population so easily. You try shifting yourself from one flat to the other in Delhi. You'll understand how difficult it is. So to shift someone who's staying in, Komila or Sillet to come and tell them to shift to Rangpur, 500 kilometers away is not easy. It's all good talk. And then you have to understand the ramifications of chopping off that corridor. You can take that corridor. There's not a problem. But you look at the repercussions of that, doing that. Will that corridor be safe after that? That's the point. You'll have more problems keeping that corridor safe than taking it. You have to look beyond things. Then you're going to have a nation which is completely against you. They will say you हमारे मार दिया. There might come a day when we might have to do it for good reasons, but that day has not come. How has China gained a foothold in every neighboring country and encircled us and has sown chaos? We almost turned into Israel with death surrounding us. I think, Sam, you're overhyping the situation. There's nothing alarming in this entire region. If you see, China isn't a problem in Myanmar. China isn't a problem in Bangladesh also. China isn't a problem in Pakistan. China isn't a problem in Sri Lanka. Things turn. So I told you, we have seen worse days. Things will change. Be patient. You should have patience. A game जो है ना चलता रहता है. So don't think that China has surrounded us. All that is gone. Bhutan is the real player here. Okay, fine. You have your view. Rather than crib about it, can we instead make Bangladesh more stable than it? It's going to be a difficult thing because the population is hostile to us. I agree with many people who say this population will not turn so easily. Remember, this is also East Pakistan once upon a time, who were completely anti us. That is why this nation came into being. Today they are against us. Tomorrow they'll be against themselves. That's why this problem has come. So it's not going to be stable. They've destroyed their economy. If you think Bangladesh is going to be stable, it will not be. They've opened themselves to a contestation between China and USA. And don't forget, India is going to play its game. It's not as if it's all hunky dory. We have leverages, we'll do what we have to do. Right? So, Bangladesh won't be stable. But maybe in that instability, we have opportunities. Right now, we don't have any border disputes with Bangladesh, but is there any possibilities? We, that's why I told you there's no hurry for all this. This is not the time. Let them get into some kind of stability, then we'll talk. Yeah, thank you for your valuable teaching and insights. It's my pleasure. It's my honor also. Bharat may consider similar action of widening the buffer zone in other areas in this regard. We may consider the northern districts of J&K, namely Gilgit Balt. Look, Shaksgam and all is far away. I mean, you have to go there to understand what you're talking. It's not going to happen. The military solution often is the worst solution. That's the last solution. The first solution is the political solution, the ethnic solution, the religious solution, the cultural solution. You have to take those paths first. We have not started that. How can you go militarily? You had to. How was Bangladesh created? It was created by the people of Bangladesh. We helped them do so. Okay, we created help the conditions for them, but the people were with us. Similarly, you have to win the people of J&K, Gilgit Baltistan. Have you won them over? No. Have you done any preparation? No. Do that and then everything will happen. Military is not the answer. Okay, why don't we just humbly call our six non-Pakistani neighbors as our immediate neighborhood? Why call region from Africa to Pacific as intermediate neighborhood? We overstress. Look, it's just a way of classifying things. You can change it. I have no problem. This is my way of looking at it. You don't like it, don't like it. Okay. The immediate neighborhood is China, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, yeah, Maldives, and Afghanistan. These are the immediate neighborhood that I've kept apart as near neighborhood and immediate neighborhood. Immediate neighborhood are those countries which you don't have direct adversarial relationship. The near neighborhood is the one where your relationship is adversarial. It's just a split of I split the hair. Otherwise, this is the intermediate, the next the intermediate, and then the outer. Okay? It's a matter of how you look at it. I've looked at it this way. You want to look at it different, you're welcome. Yeah, now, okay. Where do you see India in the next 20 years economically, militarily? Manoj, I have done this video once with Sri Iyer of P Gurus and self. We will be one of the top 3 nations in the world in 20 years, all around. Don't have a doubt about it. Maybe I'll do it again. I'll do this again. Okay. Yeah. And I said India's growth is not stoppable. I've done one with Rajiv Narayanan also. Have a look at it. Why India can't be stopped. So I have no doubt in my mind. It doesn't matter which political party comes in power. ये भी बता रहा हूँ मैं. Okay, so don't worry. Can you bring someone to interview who can talk about military industrial complex in India and how we can develop it further? Chowda ji, I was developing the Tamil Nadu Industrial Corridor. What's happening? Okay, one of the things which has happened is the military industrial complex in India has not developed beyond a point because the government has lost interest in it. The government of Tamil Nadu has lost interest in it. The central government has lost interest in it. The central government has lost interest in it in UP because of their internal politics of BJP. Here, the problem is between Tamil Nadu government, DMK and BJP. It has lost. So a lot of it is political, internal politics and strategic culture, which I said so. Okay. If national policy think tanks, etc., ask you to submit a critical report on performance of External Affairs Minister Jaishankar ji, as we the Janta just get happy with nice statements. See, if I put it, if you ask me this question, let me give you an honest answer. Uh, he talks well, he articulates well, he's made some nice statements, he's made India's position clear for, one of the best foreign ministers I've seen. Uh, the problem is with him is he's ahead of the race. His thinking, everything is ahead of the pack. The rest of the politicians are behind. They don't catch up with it. So as a result, there's a lag. There's a lag between what he says and what we do. Because it's matching चाहिए ना matching. अब वो एक औरत भी मैचिंग साड़ी चाहिए, मैचिंग ब्लाउज चाहिए ना, वो नहीं है. He's very good, but matching नहीं. That's the only problem with him. Right. Compared to decades earlier, does our public, particularly big city urban population, have the mass patriotism to listen diligently to 15th August PM speeches as they too are westernized? No, I think there a lot of people are today listening to what the PM says, because earlier we never had the facility to listen to what the PM said on 15th August. It used to come later. It was really on radio, things like that. But today more people listen. But it's not as if that less people listen there. We used to listen on radio. Shakal nahi dekhte the, but radio pe sunte the. And that used to come regularly, like you see now also in things. So it's there. I think a lot of people are saying, I see more patriotism in India than today than what I saw 50 years back. Let me tell you that the overall patriotic content has gone up. So this is excellent talk. Thank you for your knowledge. Look, this knowledge, my channel is more for knowledge. I'm not going to give you fancy things. There's nothing fancy. आप ये बोलो कि ये हिंदी में बोलिए, इंग्लिश में बोलिए, मेरे को कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता. जो मैंने मन में आता है, I talk to you. And I give the truth. I give the correct things. And I have no problem in telling everyone on his face what he is. If he's not good, I will tell a chap on his face. I don't like to do the wrong things. And when I speak, I put a lot of effort to make people understand. Right? And I must thank all of you for coming and listening to me. And, reinforcing my view that India is worth serving. All of you are worth serving. That's more important for me. Okay. And I have different ways. I talk to you, I talk to my students, I talk to many of the industrialists and all that. With each, I have a different way and what content I put across. But overall, net, I am trying my best to see India goes forward. Ask US hit us on our yard. Why not help China and US yard? We can't punch above our weight and fight US directly, but China can. In our yard, China is enemy. In US yard, China is ally. There's geo and geo. Yeah, there is. See, Manaswan, let me tell you. If you see the timeline, no? On 21st in Bangladesh, everything was quiet. The Supreme Court had ruled against the quota. The student leader had said, "Wapas." And generally, everyone was saying, "Oh, now Bangladesh will become quiet." Then it suddenly went on a tailspin. Why? Everyone says monsoon, yeah, wo, all that. Okay, possible. Possible, I have no doubt. Just look at two things which have happened. One, before that, our Prime Minister had gone to Russia and came back with USA was not happy. Then on 24th, when the budget was announced, our economic advisor spoke of Chinese FDI into India. It's not a simple thing, economic advisor speaking. Okay. Now, if I'm a US guy, what will I say? Here is a country which I was depending on. It has gone towards Russia and now it's allowing China to come in. He is no more with me. Or I can't depend on him. So if I can't depend on him, I can depend on myself. So on 24th to 5th August, 10 days is enough to do what happened. I mean, look at it. I'm giving you one scenario. Okay, I'm giving you another scenario. So you have to see these things in the right thing. So have we also triggered what happened in Bangladesh? Because we did. The Bangladeshis will never agree. Bangladeshis will say, "ये तो summer क्या वो monsoon revolution है. This is second freedom fight of Bangladesh." All that nonsense they will talk. But just see, think over. So have we done? And mind you, January, the US had accepted Sheikh Hasina's election as a. They said, "Okay, चलेगा." इंडिया ने सुलह कर दिया. Let India handle. ये सब हो गया था. So we have to do our That's why I said uh, strategic culture. Have you shown strategic culture in this? Why did that economic advisor speak? Because you're a democracy, it doesn't mean that you speak what you want. People should understand. Okay, if you dissect an impassioned dissection of our export numbers vis-a-vis our GDP at 5 trillion gold, data shows Bharat is ranked 18th in manufacturing exports, which has oil. I agree with you. We have to increase our manufacturing. There's a lot of scope. You don't have to be China, but if you increase it nominally every year by about 5 to 10%, you're on the game. But are we doing it? That's the problem. We lack that. We lack that acumen. Nationally, we lack that acumen. That's the problem. Because there are many issues in this whole story. It's just not the prime minister. It's just there are a lot of other dimensions in our country which we are weak on. Yeah, Lakshan says, can you all give Africa, Southern and Central a piece of Bangladesh? Yeah, we can. But then, you have to look at South Africa on its own thing. South Africa is broken. Ever since this ANC government has come, right? Slowly, South Africa has gone down. South Africa has a lot of internal thinking to do. At one point of time, I thought South Africa will become a greater power than it is. But it's economically gone down the opposite direction. Many reasons for it, I'll not talk of it. Maybe someday we'll discuss South Africa and Lakshan. If more South Africans come and join this, I'll discuss South Africa. Yeah, I've already told you about Faiz court martial. Budgetary allocation and capital head to the defense forces is 1.72 lakh crores, which is 20% higher than the actual expenditure, and 9.5. Look, Arunachal, these are small figures. I am not bothered about all this nonsense. Okay. Overall kitty kitna hai? It is lesser than what it was earlier. You have to take it far higher. Okay. Unless you do that, it will not work. This is like, what's that? Robbing Paul to pay Peter. That's what has happened in this defense budget. It is a weak budget. You don't understand it, all the best to you. If only these politicians could comprehend the business potential of a vibrant defense industrial complex. But with UP and defense corridors, are we not on the way already? We are not on the way, we are in the reverse direction. The TN defense corridor is not going to come up. You know why? Because already Apple chap has come, he's purging money, someone else has come, wants to put up a semiconductor plant here. Taiwan has come with business. They are not interested in this defense corridor anymore. Results are there in the other. Their defense minister has been useless. Like I told you, the UP defense corridor is stuck in all kinds of nonsense. Okay, whichever way you look at it, these defense corridors are on the verge of failure. Whether you like it or not, you have to believe it. Even during COVID, they used to call me on video for consultation and all that. For the past 2 years, they have not even looked at my face. And I know they don't have many more consultants either. Keep meeting them. So there is a problem we have to understand which is beyond the normal thinking. In an earlier podcast a year back, you had mentioned that our armed forces may not be in a position to utilize any increase in budget. Nothing has changed. That's another problem. I'm not saying that the first thing is you should increase the defense budget. The second is you should increase the capacity to spend it. Both have not been done. And there's no move towards it. I mean, I've talked to people also. So it's a chicken and egg story. They've created a chicken and an egg story, and we are suffering, and we'll suffer. Is there a reason you don't count Japan among strategic? I have. It's a strategic relationship. It's part of our intermediate thing. It is a strategic partner. Maybe you could call it strategic, and but Japan is a far more stable partner with us than other countries. It's been a true friend to India. Yeah, you could call it as part of a strategic partnership. It's a matter of viewpoint. I take yours. I appreciate the insight. Appreciate the insight. We have to help Nepal, Myanmar, possibly Bangladesh to ride India coattails. We have no choice. We have no other choice. So Bangla and Pak borders have a barrier. What else can India do to prevent illegal immigration? Excuse the population. We can do very little else. I mean, these have there. Look, why does that migration happen? Or rather, why is that thing breached? That wall fence? It's local politics. If the state government is against the central government, this will happen. People will dig tunnels. People will go from top. All those nonsense. Right? And if the central forces are caught between the state government and the local government, the central government, the state central forces have to take certain actions on the border to prevent migration. If the chap there takes some action and there's a case against him, he'll never do it, and that will be local politics. Now, in between local politics and national politics and local forces and national forces, there are smugglers smuggling along the Bangladesh border. Many, including really cows and buffaloes, which go for meat over there, beef. वो भी smuggle होता है. Okay, I'm telling you, beef gets smuggled into Bangladesh. Okay. So if all this happens, smuggling, drugs, everything is going, migration is part of the story. Your internal politics, controls a lot of this whole story. That is something which you have to all understand. Yeah, when did a Bangladeshi speak with you on Gunnershot, sir? Missed it. Yesterday. Yesterday he came up, he gave a lot of ideas. Have a look at it. I ultimately had to respond to General Brigadier Saigal, and I had to respond to him. Right? Yesterday, there are a lot of questions. Those of you who were there yesterday would understand it. Yeah, can politics depower the Indian army because they are too what? What is your thing? Look, politics have always depowered the Indian army because the Indian army is apolitical. We follow government. Local politics, external politics, all this always puts ties our hand behind our back when you're dealing with certain situations. I can tell you with this confidence. When I was commanding a brigade, there was always a problem between local politics, state level politics, and national politics. When you're in CI and against militants, you're operating, all these operate. So it's not a matter of law, it's more of politics. So you have to handle politicians. Look, let me tell you, I know enough politics and I can be political. I was political apolitically political. I knew how to play this political game when I was in service. I used to play it with all the political parties, but I was apolitical with everyone. I know what happens. Many times it forces you not to do anything. You can't do anything. If you don't do anything, someone will benefit. If you don't prevent crime from happening, that crime will flourish. So, let me put it this way: I was bold enough in certain places to do certain things. Small things I used to let go, but big things I never let go. I had problems. That's a different story. Do you believe BSF, ITBP, SSB should be under? Yeah, I think all of them should be under one, but no country will do it. It doesn't happen in China. It doesn't happen in USA. It doesn't happen in India. The bigger thing, what should be done is this: BSF, ITBP, and SSB should be strengthened to handle things on our own. The problem is all these forces sound big, but they are low on capability. At the first instant, they look over their shoulders for the army to come in, and the army is not empowered. And army is acting like I told you. The moment I enter a scene in a place like Manipur or South Assam or all those places, which I have been in command, I'm into politics. I'm under all kinds of political influence. It's a different thing. I could. Many of us weather it. Many of us. It's not only I. Many of us weather it. We know. We right. So and many times we have to help the central forces, paramilitary forces out of their problems. We do it. Yeah. What are duty Indian? You are not able to join in force. I have not understood. Please throw some light on that. I've not understood the question. Reframe your question, Sandhika. NATO in invading Russia. How do you see this? It'll not happen. It'll not happen. NATO will not invade. They would not invade it for 3 years. They'll not do anything. Don't worry. Shouldn't we have intervened in Bangladesh? Karun? Why should you intervene and get yourself embroiled there? Let them do what they want. When they finish the whole story, देखो भाई बड़ा सिंपल है. हिंदी में बात करता हूँ इसमें. अगर आपके घर के बगल में आप अंदर लफड़ा हो रहा है, आप क्यों जाके उसमें दखल अंदाजी करना चाहते हो? उसको बोलो खत्म करे अपना लफड़ा, उसके बाद बात करो उसके साथ. Isn't it? वही तो करते हो. Do you go interfere in your neighbor's fight? Unless he comes out on the street, or unless he comes out to the border and starts threatening you, then you do what you have to do. That's the logic. Everyone agrees the neighborhood is unstable. Strategically speaking, should government pursue an investment-led growth model or focus on a domestic consumption-led model, export-led? Look, we need to do both, and we have done both successfully. Let me be. ये तो हो गया कुछ. ये after all, this whole problem has come up only 10 days. 10 दिन में थोड़े ना कुछ हो जाएगा. आराम कीजिए. कुछ दिन के बाद ठंडा हवा लो, पानी पियो. When these Bangladeshis come to their senses, They'll talk to us. They have no choice. और कहाँ जाएंगे? When you say on 14th, 15th August days that Pakistan was created by West for oil and USSR, then as a Punjabi I ask where live slaughter of Punjabi Hindus and still seeks to cheat for West. Yes. How did it matter them? Haven't they done it now in Bangladesh? Haven't they done it in Ukraine? They done it in all these color revolutions which have taken place? If you see the color revolutions which took place in the past 25 years, 30 years, Arab Spring, ये Spring, वो Spring, उनको क्या लेना देना है यार? People die. We are fools to respond to these Westerners. Given and look, they look at a place which is incendiary and they'll light a fire there. And that fire will be lit in a manner that they get benefit. Given the unstable neighborhood, strategically speaking, should government pursue an investment? Yeah, we have spoken this. Where are lives valued even less compared to oil needs of West? Yes. And they force the historic Holocaust. Yes. We should be very clear about what that's why I'm very clear at this point of time. We might align with USA and the West strategically, but it is transactional. It is transactional to the extent that today your alignment is with the West to keep China at bay. The day you are strong enough to take on China, eject them. Your thoughts on India China moving back to its historical places of economies with Western countries decline based on current events in the neighborhood? Why do West keep meddling? West has no other choice but to meddle around because economically, whatever they have produced has to they need a market. They can't buy their own thing and they can't grow. And they are all dwindling populations. At the end of the day, economy is about people. Unless you have people, you don't know where to go. That is why they will never let you progress because you are a market only for their goods if you remain backward. The day you progress, you don't need them, they're irrelevant. It scares them. It scares them that India will progress and develop on its own. Yeah, Atmanirbharta is very scary for them. Please understand that. China and India will not move back to its historical places of economies in a hurry. It will take another century, but it will happen. But before that, the problem with China is it's going to go down. China will never go back to its historical place. What Paul Kennedy in his book Rise and Fall of Empires has said that India and China contributed 30% of GDP. That might happen for a few years, but Chinese economy will go down. I have no doubt about it. Look, 5 years back, I predicted the Chinese economy will go down. Today, it is going down. You might not believe it, but today, in my think tank group, we have a virtual think tank group in WhatsApp based. And one guy told me, he said, "So whatever you have said 5 years back is happening now." He said, "Yeah, we never believed what you said 5 years back, but it is happening." I'm telling you now what will happen 20 years hence. That's why am I saying 27, 28, 29, 30? That's the critical period for China and India. Both. In fact, it's critical for China first, because that's when the population starts significantly going down. Social tensions will increase. Internal problems will increase. If you think today you have internal problems, just wait for another 3 years. And if Ganashot is there, you record what I'm saying, Ramred, and get back to me after 3 years. You will see the number of the social tensions in China going up as their population goes down. Yeah, robot production, yeah, all that non-automated AI and all is bunk. ये सब बेवकूफी है. Okay, they are already overproducing, and they are not consuming, and the Chinese will not consume, so they have to go down. And Chinese will not consume. As Chinese stop consuming, their population will go down, their economy will go down, so they'll not go back. It's only us. And if you go up on your own steam, then where's the market for the West? There is turbulence ahead. That's why I said 27, 28 turbulence. Uh, the picture is not fully clear to me as of today. I'll be honest. Let the trends roll out maybe 1 year hence, we'll see. But we are not stoppable. IA, BDA, PA are derivatives of the erstwhile World War stock. What are the differences and similarities? Just wait. Wait for the talk next week. The fundamental similarities is religion. Simple. As simple as that. They are religious. They are based on one religion. We are not. Okay. Who's the biggest number one enemy of India at this point of time? I have no doubt it's China. I've never had a doubt. I've never had a doubt. Not no. I've never had a doubt for the past 30, 40 years. I hope I've answered it as simple as possible. Actually, Japan and potentially Taiwan surely partnership with these has the potential to be as fruitful. Japan, yes, it's always been good. Japan helped us in reviving our industry and our economy. You remember, go back to the 80s when Maruti came in, all that. Not Taiwan. Remember, Taiwan is a small country. It's a country which is scared. I'll be very honest with you. They're worried about themselves. No harm. There's no shame in being scared. They see that beyond a point, if they cooperate with India, they have a problem with China. So they're worried. And plus, with Taiwan, there's limited scope for a strategic partnership. Uh, China, USA will not allow you. So there are other angles. So we will not go there. So don't take anything. You know, when you in geopolitics and in geostrategy and global affairs, you can't just think, oh, because Taiwan is against China, we should be with Taiwan completely. We should be with Taiwan completely, but there are layers to this. How do we expect the net security provider in IOR with a fleet of barely 50 ships? See, this is your numbers game, okay? And that is why I said, if you want to be a net security provider, you have to invest more. As simple as that, you have to build up capacities. That's the question I've asked. Is Indian Armed Forces capable of being a net security provider as we grow up to be a regional power? The answer is not yet. Yeah, I've read we've retired Danush missile. Uh, that's an old missile, old technology. That's why we retired it. Who controls our air defense like Akash, S-400, like Air Defense Command? Or no, we don't have an air defense command. It's Air Force. Akash is split between the air defense, Army air defense, and Air Force. Yeah, roles of politician, bureaucracy, and military leadership, and also veterans in decision making in India. Veterans zero. The other three have roles, but they are disproportionate at this point of time. I will not talk more than that. We have a problem in the civil-military relationship. I've spoken about it. Okay, many times. We have a warped relationship. Unless we are able to and straighten that out, we'll have problems. Would a China skirmish or attack on India for political reputation cost be unfortunate reason for a rejig in defense budget? Necessary changes for technological and industrial development. China will not attack India. China will not have a skirmish with India. They are avoiding it at all costs because the moment they turn, that's what USA wants. USA wants them, India to get entangled with China or China to get entangled with India. The moment that happens, it's all bets off for USA. It will not happen. Don't worry. Look at it from a simple. In your house, if your front door is under attack and your rear door could be under attack, where will you tend? Which will you look to first? Which will you look to first? You think this story in Bangladesh is happening in isolation? That is USA containing China. That's the front door. You think China wala, oh, he doesn't know how to close that door. We all think China is a big dragon. He's a bloody lizard who's running away now. He's got internal problems. Internal problems have been self-created. Some have been created. Okay, he has been surrounded. He is being contained, and then you want him to come and attack India. You think he's a fool? He'll never do it. For Babus, it's a game of yes minister. Yeah, it's not for the army leadership. There's no yes minister. We have a problem. We have a big problem. Will India gain leverage from Iran war? Like I said, everyone starts looking at India because they trust India, and we are quite impartial to the whole lot. But will that happen? We'll see. We have logistical supply agreement with USA. Doesn't this make USA very dependent on us at this critical juncture? How can USA play? USA can't play with us, and they are not in any criticality. Because please understand, they're not fighting a war. They're making everyone else fight a war. They're not fighting. So there's no skin off their back. Yeah. Is Russia providing Iran with deadly missiles which can sink US ships in the Persian Gulf? And what role China is playing? Look, that's a whole different ball game. Maybe tomorrow we'll talk of it when I speak about what's happening in Ukraine. Russia is actually taking missiles from Iran. Yeah, if you see the connectivity between what's happening in Iran and what's happening in West Asia, okay, there is a correlationship. They're all on a tight leash now. If Iran gets into a war, it needs ammunition. Russia doesn't have ammunition. Their source was Iran, China, and North Korea. Iran can't give. They can't give to Iran. You see the connectivity tomorrow. If I don't know, I've suggested to uh, Mr. Sri Iyer will talk of that story. There's a connectivity. What's happening in Ukraine and what's happening in West Asia. It's not so easy. All this is. China also is in a tough position. China is internally in a problem. If they keep supplying things to Russia, see, just think what happened in Bangladesh. It's got China off guard. China is in a problem. What's happened in Bangladesh? What's happened in Myanmar? Yunnan border is huge. Huh? Remember that. When you look at China, it's a big border. And there's instability in Yunnan. Bangladesh, where you wanted a submarine base, is gone almost. I don't think that submarine base will come up. China has to look at other directions now, and they'll get the message. You'll see things unraveling. See, many of us think that the USA is declining, yeah, war and all. They're past masters here. Understand that they've already been fighting this game for the past 100 years. Do you believe Cabinet Committee on National Security should control? No, it should not control political parties. The National Committee on Cabinet Committee on Security is a product of democracy. Okay, and it is made up of people in power through the democratic route. The moment they start controlling political parties, the democracy is gone. Will de-dollarization be a reality in future? Zero. Zero. I have been saying this right from beginning. De-dollarization will not happen because there is no alternative. And yuan is not an alternative. Oh, there are a lot of questions. I'll still take a few, no problems. General Sir, you said central government and state government are losing interest in defense corridor. Why is BJP government, central government, if doing so, BJP has they can have manifesto and all, but actual facts on ground is what I'm telling you. But why they're doing it, you ask them. Does China and Russia provide real-time data from their satellites to Iran to target Israel and US assets? They could be. They could be. A brilliant question was asked by user ID Republic of India. Can will politics depower our army? I told you. I've told this question to you. Politics will always depower any army if the politics are at cross purposes. Only thing is when it's against an external enemy, nothing will happen. Any more prospects for political military fusion? I'll talk maybe like down the line. We'll talk about it. All religions are evolved for bringing balance and peace, but end up causing conflict. Is it politics or vested interest? I think it's more emotive and vested interest and power. Religions beyond a point are all about control. All religions end up controlling people. They want to spread their religions and the thought process and control people. So I think when religions become ambitious, aggressive religions, younger religions like Islam and even Sikhism and even your Christianity, they are younger religions. They're aggressive religions. They're more violent religions. So they create conflict. That's as simple as that. It's a case of my sadi is whiter than yours. Shouldn't we go for joint development of fighter engine with Russia for faster progress? Oh, don't think that Russia is a hunky dory affair. Why did we go to USA? Because we had problems with Russia, incidentally. We have problems with Russia on many issues. Don't think the equation with Russia is absolutely balle balle. We have major problems with Russia in terms of equipment. Will Iran strike Israel tomorrow? We'll talk of it tomorrow with Sri Ayarji. That's what I suggested to him. आप उनको बताइए कि कल क्या होना है. हम because tomorrow evening 8 o'clock is the joint thing. We'll talk there. Right. Thanks a lot to all of you. I've enjoyed answering all your questions. I hope you people have enjoyed or felt okay with my replies. You might have a difference of opinion. I have no issue. I have no issue if you have a different opinion from mine. I will not be right 100% of the time. Neither will you be right. But somewhere we need to find middle ground, and we need to smile at the end of the day. And I've enjoyed today's session. We'll have it more. We'll have more. Like I told you, I want to see how to get you people on the show. Of course, whoever wants to come on the show, I'll put down certain do's and don'ts, and come talk, and then I'd like to interact with you face to face, not just in this comments. Let me see how we can do it. Till then, thanks a lot. Till tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to do, hopefully, Russia-Ukraine war and Israel and Iran and all that. Until then, happy Independence Day. We had a good Independence Day. Wish all the best. And next week I'll cover some of these things which are happening in J&K. And weekend I'm going to have. Oh yeah, this I must tell you. Day before yesterday, General Rajiv Narayanan and General Dushyant Singh were having a get together. We were there in a seminar in Western Command. So there we spoke about Xi Jinping and all that. So General Dushyant Singh said, "Look, let's have a discussion again on Xi Jinping." So Sunday, 3 of us are going to be there. And it's going to be unique because he is going to be the host, and I and Rajiv Narayanan will answer his questions. So it's going to be a redo of what he spoke of. Thing. Certain more issues have come out. We have our views. We'll discuss it. Because what's happening around Xi Jinping is very funny. And it's concerning the way I look at it. Okay, so let us see what happens. Okay, till then, happy Independence Day. Good night and Jai Hind to all of you.